Hello, I'm Isabella Shamimi, and I'll be talking to you about the 3D model of the larynx that I have here today. So this is the larynx that I have created. So let's go ahead and start with the basis of the larynx, known as our voice box. The larynx is located in your throat over here and plays a key role in breathing, swallowing, and producing sound, and is made of different parts, such as the thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, arytenoid cartilage, epiglottis, and vocal folds. So here is our thyroid cartilage in pink. So this is our thyroid cartilage. It forms the front of the larynx and is often known as the Adam's apple. The thyroid cartilage plays a role in producing speech, such as acting as a house for the vocal folds. So below that is the cricoid cartilage, which is in green. This is our cricoid cartilage in green. This is a complete ring of cartilage beneath the thyroid cartilage that supports the airway. What the cricoid cartilage does during speech is articulates to allow movement for voice production. Now on the back, we have our arytenoid cartilages in blue. So this is our arytenoids. The epiglot, oh, my bad. These are two small cartilages that help control opening and closing the vocal folds. So now let's move to our epiglottis in brown right here. So the epiglottis does not produce voice directly, but it protects the airway during swallowing by flapping over to prevent food or liquid from entering the trachea. So let's say we are taking a swallow initially. So the epiglottis right here is going to flap down like this, covering to protect the airway from food or liquid getting in there. So just like that. And then lastly, the vocal folds, which are in black right here. Those are our vocal folds. So these are two bands of muscular tissue that vibrate to produce sound, and then the vocal folds are the primary source of sound production. Okay, so after learning about the anatomy of the larynx, let's go ahead and talk about the mechanisms of airflow from the lungs during breathing. When you breathe in, your lungs are filling in with air. So we're going to pretend that our lungs are down here. So we're filling in air with that. And then above the lungs is our trachea, which is going to be right here. So as air is filling in with the lungs, it's going to move up to the trachea until it reaches your vocal folds. So air is traveling up to your vocal folds. So here's the air. So if we're just breathing, the vocal folds stay open like this. So air is coming and we're just breathing. So air. So now let's go ahead and talk about the vocal folds in motion and vibration. The mechanisms for vocal fold vibration involves airflow from the lungs, muscle control, and the vocal folds themselves. When air from the lungs passes through the larynx, it creates pressure that forces the vocal folds to open and close. So again, we're going to pretend that our lungs are down here. So we're getting air from our lungs, moving up to our trachea and entering our vocal fold area. So as pressure is coming through our vocal folds like this, our vocal folds are going to come together like this, vibrating. Okay, now let's talk about what happens to your vocal folds when you're actually talking. So as air builds up beneath them, so air is building up and then passes through, it causes them to vibrate rapidly. So again, the air is reaching the vocal folds right here, and as pressure is going through, it's causing the vocal folds to go rapidly like this, coming together. So as pressure is coming through, coming to there, The sound then travels up through your throat, mouth, and nose, where it's shaped into speech. So without the vibration movement of these vocal folds, so without this movement, there would be no voice produced. So only air would be passing through. So no movement, just air passing through. Movement, sound. Now let's talk about pitch. Pitch is like when you raise your voice to ask a question or to lower it to sound more serious. The movement of the vocal folds can alter by tension, length, and closure pattern. When we speak in a high voice, like this, hi, the muscles stretch the vocal folds and make them tighter, just like this. So when I did that high, my vocal folds were stretching and lengthening. And then to speak in a lower voice like this, oh, the vocal folds relax and shorten. So when I was speaking in a low voice, they were relaxing and shortening. So to go over what we just talked about, the larynx has many important structures and functions that work together to bring vocal folds together and vibrate to make sound for us to produce. So as I'm talking right now, my vocal folds are doing this. They're coming together to vibrate. Thank you for listening to my presentation.